The biggest challenge that most people experience is not the fact that they have the wherewithal to do what they need to do. When you're in a fighting mode, you're not in a thinking mode. You can't think because you don't have any blood to think with. That's why most people in fires, they don't die from the fire. They die from the fact that they can't think. They don't even see the exit anymore.
I'm always happy when I'm able to sell and offer something to people that I truly believe in myself. I couldn't believe in my product more than I did.
I had more capacity now to get more because of the fact that I've released the stuff that no longer serves. Yeah, and I tell people all the time, selling is not selling. Selling is actually transference of emotions, this energy.
Start small with daily habits, to be honest with you. Once those daily habits come in, everything starts to turn around.
The reason I'm where I am today is because of some of the setbacks, the heartbreaks and failures that I've gone through. That's the legit mindset, really, is learning, growing, expanding, and transforming. Welcome to the Legit Mindset Podcast, Failures, Lessons, and Breakthroughs. I'm the host, Curtis McCullom, a certified clinical hypnotherapist and the founder of Bespoke Human Potential Coaching. Here we dive into real stories, challenges, and comebacks where leaders share the setbacks that shaped them and the growth that followed. Because real success isn't about avoiding failure. It's about transforming from it. And that is the legit mindset. Today, I have a great guest with me. Actually, he's in my backyard. We kind of neighbors, really. I have Haren Bhakta with me, which is usually is kind of unusual because I don't hardly have a lot of California guests, but I'm so happy to have him with me. And Haren, he's the founder and CEO of the Inside Ownership Index. It's the first index fund designed to track companies with meaningful inside ownership, which is interesting when we talked about it the other day. And he believes that the best investments are businesses led by owners with long-term incentives aligned with long-term shareholders, helping investors think and act like true business owners. But like everyone who comes to the show, their story didn't unfold without challenges. What I appreciate about this conversation is that we're not here just to talk about the highlights. We're here to talk about the moments that shaped them and the awareness that followed and how real growth took place on the other side. Haren, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Curtis. Thank you for having me on your show.
Man, I'm really excited to kind of get into this. But before we do that, just kind of help everyone get oriented to who you are. I mean, I have a really great appreciation for you because I met you the other day. And when we talked about the show, but let's get started here. Who are you today, and kind of what is your focus on in this season of your life right now at work?
Yeah, well, in 2024, I launched this index, the Inside Ownership Index, that tracks the performance of shares held by insiders. Who I am today is I'm launching an ETF actually this month that will track my index, and I'm basically responsible for getting investors to buy into the ETF and raise AUM. And that's my sole focus, is to create content, talk to people, talk to investors, hold investor conferences and dinners, and essentially get people to buy it.
And that's what it's all about. I think we talked a little bit about it. My background actually is in financial services. I was in the past life, and I still have it. I haven't gotten rid of it yet. I'm a certified financial planner and a CHLC, whatever it is, all those other freaking initials with them. Really doesn't mean a whole lot to me right now. But so talk a little bit about now, what shifted at some point, something changed in your life, right? Let's rewind a little bit. So take us to the moment now. I know right now you're launching the fund, the EFT and all of that, but obviously we want to talk a little bit about, before we get into a lot of that, is take us to the moment where something didn't happen like planned, a setback or failure, or a season where something just wasn't working anymore. Talk to the audience a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I've had a lot of failures in my life, but my largest one, my biggest one, in 2017, I was at Morgan Stanley for 5.5 years, doing wealth management, managing high net worth client money. And I left Morgan Stanley in 2017 to start my own micro cap fund where I invest in tiny companies that are publicly traded. And I took about a 5% position in a tiny company out of Las Vegas that sells show tickets on the strip of Las Vegas. It shouldn't have been public, but it's a tiny little company, about a $6 million market cap,
Right.
about 5% of it in the open market. And I decided to run a proxy contest where you get other shareholders, the other 95% of shareholders, to vote for me. And it was run by a guy who founded it for 20 years. He owned about, I can't remember, but I think it was about 20% of the company. So I had to get a lot of shareholders to vote for me. And it wasn't actually that difficult to sell the idea, because if you had invested in this guy 20 years ago, y- every $100 would be about $1. So he
Right.
lost 99% of investor capital by the time I got involved. And I saw it as a very cheap company. So I bought 5%. Eventually, by 2019, through the proxy contest, I ended up getting on the board of this company. So I think it was October of 2019 where I finally got on the board.
Right.
In March of 2020, the entire show business in Las Vegas shut down. So, so it
I
was
got a feeling what happened in 2020 that kind of
right,
stopped everything in its tracks. So we'll go ahead
right,
with your story, man.
right. And that was the only business they really had, was selling show tickets on the strip of Las Vegas. They had, at the time, I believe they had about 9 kiosk locations
Right.
on the strip. So these are very high traffic areas. And the show business in Las Vegas, more and more people are buying tickets last minute. They're using online. So I
Right.
thought, wow, you have this company with the history of selling show tickets on the strip of Las Vegas, never really sold tickets online. So I
Wow.
thought, wow, I could take control of this company, implement something easy in creating a website that sells show tickets, or an app,
Right.
and I could just make these minor, or not minor, but easy changes, low hanging fruit, and turn
Yes.
around this business. And a lot of the operating expenses were salaries to employees, and I thought that was another easy fix. So I could
Right.
instantly turn this company profitable by making these shifts in selling online and reducing operating expenses by not paying top employees as much as they were.
Right.
And another thing they weren't doing was incentivizing the sales force, the people actually on the strip at the locations. They were just getting paid hourly. So they
Oh
had
no.
really no incentive. They had no incentive to sell show tickets. I went there. Bought show tickets to see what this customer service was like. And,
Right.
it was like you're in a line buying a movie ticket where, they don't really care whether you're buying one.
Right. That's
Yeah,
retail then, huh?
exactly. Exactly. So it's terrible timing. 2020 came and the entire show business shut down in Las Vegas for a good 2 years.
Wow.
It went out of business, and that was just a complete failure for me. And I put a large chunk of my own money in this,
Right.
and it was quite devastating. It was a very stressful time during second half of 2020 and into 2021.
So what were you kind of telling yourself at the time? I mean, you're going through this, you're seeing it happening like in real time. So what was actually going through your head at that time?
Well, I was on the board, but I didn't have board control. So that was a partial mistake on my end too, where I could have had board control, but I decided to settle with management, which I didn't have to, because I actually won the proxy vote.
Right.
Shareholders voted for me, but it was a whole legal battle I didn't want to fight. So the whole time during 2020, you know, it was still a battle with present management who didn't want to make changes. And so it was just a stressful part of my life, and we had a lot of ideas that just never got implemented. And yeah, so I don't even know how to go through what I was, describe what I was going through at that time. But let's just say I lost a lot of sleep.
Well,
Yeah,
that's what people want to understand. I mean, when people go through challenges, right? And first of all, we all have gone through it. Where we've lost a lot of money, lost a lot of time, lost a lot of energy. And what we want to let the audience know is kind of what it was like for you, because it might be something similar for someone else when they're going through it. So you're trying to kind of dial back a little bit and just talk about it. Like the moment, the challenge, how did you actually see yourself, and what were the thoughts that were going through your head? Do you like, oh my God, I've lost all my money, or oh my God, what was happening with you? Because that is the moment usually when change starts to happen, when we hit that kind of bottom,
yeah,
at the
it,
bottom there.
yeah. Well, in general, actually, I'm actually a really confident guy,
Right,
individual, and I lost myself during those pivotal, those pivotal months. I was going
right.
through that, so it was maybe about 18 months, about a year and a half.
Wow.
I recall myself losing myself and just not sleeping well, not communicating well, and just having a lot of life challenges, other challenges that stemmed from that. I
Right,
stopped working out and just a downward spiral. But what it allowed me to do was come up with my index. Without failing there, I may not ever have come up with the idea and the guts to take it forward and really create my next company. So yeah, it was just a terrible time, but it was necessary
right.
for what came next.
And I think that's what a lot of individuals need to understand is that I remember me and my wife, we took a vacation to, I think, Mexico. Was for my 60th birthday. And she like wanted to be a special trip. Like, this has to be a really, really special trip. This is a big age, you know, uh, time right now. And as soon as we got to the resort, like, all hell broke loose. Everything that could happen happened. Nothing was happening the way we wanted it to happen. And we couldn't get into our room. Service was terrible. And it looks like a setback, right? And what we found, though, was it wasn't a setback, it became a set up,
Mm,
right? It's because of the fact that,
okay.
because they had such horrible service during that one and maybe half a day for the whole trip, it became the best trip that we've ever taken, because they were like on top of it. They kept giving us different trips, giving us different this and this, upgrading that to make it right. So just because we did go through that moment in
Yeah,
time, man, it became not a setback, but a set up. And what I'm hearing from you is that even though the journey that you were on was a journey, the light at the end of the tunnel it wasn't really a setback. It allowed you to learn some stuff, so it became a setup. Is that kind of what you're sharing right now?
absolutely. And so one of the guys that most passionate about and my mentor is Warren Buffett. I've never
Yeah.
actually met him. I go see him every year at the annual meeting, but I've never actually talked to him. But I've listened to every single shareholder meeting that's available online since 1994, and I've gone to the meetings in person since 2017. So he's a huge role model. And if you ask him what his worst investment ever was, he
Right.
would say Berkshire Hathaway, the $1 trillion company today. Yeah. You would say that because initially Berkshire Hathaway was um, a textile company that sold textiles, and that went out of business. But he was able to take out capital and deploy it to other businesses. And he never changed the name of Berkshire Hathaway as a reminder to him of what bad investments look like. Now,
Wow.
I kind of did the same thing, so I'm kind of proud of that. Where Inside Ownership Index is owned by the original legal entity, Tix Corp, that
Okay.
sold tickets in Las Vegas. So I'm keeping that name as a reminder.
That's funny. Now, tell me now, at what point, I mean, you've gone through this low point, right? At what point did something just shift? Like you said, okay, something has to change or something needs to change. What point in this 18 months were you on this journey? Obviously, you got to the other side, but most of the time we hit this moment, we hit this wall with like, enough is enough is enough. I must change. What was that moment for you think?
Well, it went out of business, so I was kind of I was forced to make a change. I didn't. I guess I didn't hit something where I turned things around. No, this business, which I didn't have full control of,
Right.
went out of business, and it was largely out of my hands. I can't, even looking back, I can't think of what I could have done different to save it. Um, I don't think I had the skills to do that, nor did I want to develop the skills of moving to Las Vegas and operating the company myself. I'm a finance guy, and my skills are finance, and I didn't have the skills of actually operating a retail business, nor did I want to develop it. So, yeah.
No, but I'm talking about you personally, right? Okay, now,
Yeah.
because the business itself is gone.
The business itself is gone. Now, me
It's
personally,
gone.
now I'm at rock bottom.
Right,
At
you're
this
at rock
point.
bottom. So
I'm at
when
rock
you,
bottom
so
at this
at what point I know this is not a word, but at what point of your rock bottomness that you said, okay, enough is enough for you personally, when the ideas start to flow again?
Yeah, well, the ideas started to flow again. I think, for one, listening to Warren Buffett's annual meetings on YouTube
Right.
with, for some reason, I don't know why, he just cheers me up.
There you go.
Yeah. And, I started working out again at the bottom. I had a lot of time. So I think just getting my mental framework right allowed me to really come back. Yeah. And, I started meditating as well. So all these little things I started doing again, it was perpetual. And yeah, I even did therapy a little bit. I did a little therapy with someone who, I think through that therapy, I was able to think clearly again,
There you
and
go.
that allowed me to really come up with the Inside Ownership Index. The company that came. It was within a month of that therapy that I came up with the idea. So I attribute a lot to that, even though we didn't directly talk about anything related to finance or anything like that.
Right.
So,
And,
yeah.
and sometimes, and I think that's the thing about it, even when I'm coaching individuals, we don't sometimes think about the problem within itself. I mean, like thinking about something. What we try to do is clear the weeds, right? The biggest challenge that most people experience is not the fact that they have the wherewithal to do what they need to do, but you can't even think anymore until you kind of clear the weeds. I think that therapy part of it, and then meditating, and now getting clearing this emotional energy, or putting this emotional energy into practice by starting to work out again, started to kind of clear the path for you. Right. Now you can think, because what was happening is that, just for the audience, what was happening when you in a state of fight or flight. Fight or flight is that reptilian brain, and our reptilian brain, where it's there to protect us. Right. We think that back when, back in the caveman days, where they had to run from these saber-toothed tigers and these dinosaurs and stuff, where what happened was we have a brain that says, okay, either I'm going to have to fight, I'm going to have to run, flight, or I'm going to freeze. Fun. I'm going to freeze, right? And so when we do that, all the blood flows from our head to our extremities so that we can fight. Guess what? When you're in a fighting mode, you're not in a thinking mode. You can't think. Because no blood, you don't have any blood to think with. That's why most people in fires, they don't die from the fire. They die from the fact that they can't think. They don't even see the exit anymore. And even though the exit
Interesting.
is right there in front of them, because they're like, the brains is not functioning. They're just running into people and people are knocking people down.
You're
But the
right.
whole ideal is once you put your body in what we call the parasympathetic nervous system was actually activated, you were able to think. You got some help, outside help. You started to work out again. You started to probably eat better. You started to think. Now your body goes into the parasympathetic nervous system is now activated. But guess what? That's where we can heal. That's where we can think. That's where we can move in our being. That's when all the ideas actually flow. So what you're describing to the audience is that once you started to think again, the
Well,
creation started to flow.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. And I had I wasn't going through the struggles I was going through with that company, so I had the time to think clearly as well. So I think
Yeah.
the really important part was, I had the space in my mind to think.
I like that because that's part of what I've been really coaching on lately was what I call the university capacity principle. Is that there's a passage in the New Testament Bible in Ephesians 3. It says is that he is able to do immeasurably more than we ask or think according to the power that works within us. But guess what? We can't think or imagine if we have a backpack full of crap. We have these negative emotions, these limiting beliefs, and this company that has been dragging me down. Once you got rid of once you got rid of some of the weight, guess what? Your capacity opened up. You just said I had more capacity now to get more because of the fact that I've released the stuff that no longer serves me. And this company wasn't serving me.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah. So it was that mental space, and I finally, by force let it go.
Yes.
And yeah, so but I couldn't be happier now. I mean, I'm truly working on my dreams now, and I couldn't be more, you know, in belief of what I'm also selling. So I'm just, I'm always happy when I'm able to sell and offer something to people that I truly believe in myself, and I couldn't believe in my product more than
Yeah.
I do. So
Yeah. And I tell people all the time, selling is not selling. Selling is actually transference of emotions, this energy. I remember when I was in the financial services days, my clientele was 55, 60 years old, and some of the products and I did annuities and things of this, they didn't understand any of that stuff. Really didn't understand it. Obviously, my ethics were high enough that I would never give anybody something that I don't think that was very beneficial for them. But at the end of the day, they didn't buy the annuity. They bought me. They bought the energy that I bought because I believed in my product and services, and that energy just really attracted them to what we are doing. So right now, if somebody's listening right now and in a similar place to what you've been through, kind of feeling stuck or feeling uncertain or going through something or changing, what could you share with them so that they can be on a better track?
yeah, I think, start small with daily habits, to be honest with you. Once those daily habits come in, everything starts to turn around. And, it's hard to keep up with those daily positive habits, especially at the bottom. As you're raveling down, it's just so hard to keep up with those small daily habits. But those
Right.
are really the key. The key to transformation is those daily habits. And um, you know, if you could be more disciplined on those daily habits, I think that basically will save you when things are going bad.
I totally agree. I totally agree with you. As one of the biggest challenges that most of us have is that those small things, and they're not just small things that those small things begin to make the difference because it's like, as you well know, it's a compounded effect.
Exactly,
You
exactly.
know, you have a compound. It's like, okay, if you get if you double your pennies every day, like a one penny, then the next day two, then the next day four, then the next day eight, so on and so forth.
Yeah,
I can't remember what the number was, but it gets crazy after a while because of the
right.
compounded effect, right?
Yeah, be 1% better every day, and that compounds. I think I can't remember the number, but it's like a huge number. It's like 300%.
Yeah,
over the
it's
course of
huge.
a year.
It's huge. It's huge. So what I'm saying, I think I love what you share with the audience. One of the things that they can do is start where they are, right? And start implementing those small habits again. Like for you, I know for me, 4 days a week, I'm working out, right? Those are small things I have to do. Why? I need the energy to do what I do. I tell people 80% of the time I'm eating right, because hey, I'm human. I want a good something sweet every once in a while, so, I'm not 100%, but 80% there. But what I'm saying is those things like that are so important that we can start to implement those small daily habits that could have this compounding effect that which makes the biggest difference in our life. So now looking back now, I think you mentioned it already, but I just want you to share with the audience one more time. Looking back now, how do you see this setback different now? And what was the ultimately where you are now? So just share with them again, how do you now see it different than what you saw when you actually were going through it?
Yeah, well, I'm almost glad it happened. I'm almost glad it happened because without it, I don't know that I would have my company that I have today.
Wow.
Yeah, so almost glad it happened. I mean, looking back at it still hurts today.
Yes.
Yeah, but I have to believe that without it, I wouldn't have what I have today, and what I have today, I think, is far better than anything what that company could have been.
Wow.
So yeah, yeah.
Wow. I mean,
So
look at the reframe. When we're going through stuff, it's like, wow, we feel it, the heaviness of it. And the whole ideal is taking it so that we have this lightness about ourselves. And I think well, it's just so important, and people don't understand. I truly believe that too. Is like the reason I'm where I am today is because of some of the setbacks, the heartbreaks, and failures that I've gone through. That's the legit mindset. Really, is learning, growing, expanding, and transforming. Meaning, if you don't go through something, you can't learn anything. Well, you can learn. I mean, some positives, but usually the biggest learnings come from some of the things that we go through. So kind of wrap it up now. So let the audience know exactly how they can contact you, Haren, and what are you doing in your website and all this good stuff so they can really support you in what you're building now.
yeah, so my website is really easy. It's insideownership.com. And basically my company is an index that tracks the performance of shares held by insiders as opposed to like the S&P 500. That's what's called a market cap weighted. The larger the company is, the more they invest in that company. That's how the S&P 500 works. My company is, the more the insiders own, the more we invest in that company, the more we believe in that company with meaningful insider ownership, meaning that they have skin in the game, and
Right.
they treat the companies better because they own more of more of the company. You know, you can't hire a great CEO. Great CEOs are not hireable. Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, Phil Knight, Howard Schultz, these guys don't work for other people. They create their companies, and you
Mm,
want to invest in leaders like that. And that's what the index I created tracks.
beautiful, beautiful. Now, are you on any social media platforms or just on your website is the best place for them to actually connect with you, Haren?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn as well. I'm on Instagram. So they can find me on Instagram, Haren.Bhakta. I think that's what it is. And Haren Bhakta, they can find me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is probably the best.
Okay. Yeah. Now, guys, if this conversation resonated with you, please feel free to reach out or send Haren a message. I mean, basically, we'd love to hear from you and really support him in what he's doing in his index and his EFT that he's launching. By the time this produced, it should be almost out by then. And basically, all the things that we just talked about for him will be in the show notes so you can get them if you missed it when he was actually describing it. First of all, thanks again, Haren, for being a part of the show. And thank you, audience, for actually tuning in to the Legit Mindset. Now, if today's episode inspired you, share it with a friend or leave a review. We really appreciate that. And if you are ready to uncover your own blind spots, if you're ready to now become light and be free, like Haren kind of described his own personal transformation that he went through, and kind of really elevate your potential, book a free clarity call with me at bespokehumanpotentialcoaching.com. Remember, guys, real story, real setbacks, real growth. This is the legit way. Make it a great day.
Thank you.